Yo, what up guys? My name is Freddie, Swiftstyle Garcia, and welcome back to the channel. All right, so today we have something pretty exciting for you guys. We're putting an Innofader inside a PT01 Scratch. And to do that, we're gonna be using the all-new Reck-IF30. Now this is a casing made from Reck-LA that allows you to install the mini Innofader Plus inside your PT01 Scratch. Now this fader mount is intended for the mini Innofader Plus to sit inside your PT01 Scratch and replace the scratch switch. Now obviously, just like other faders in the market that sit inside the PT01 Scratch have a short throw, but if you are interested in using that mini Innofader with your PT01 Scratch and a traditional throw, Reck also makes the FH45. Now this is an aluminum fader housing, so the mini Innofader Plus is going to sit directly in here and on top of your PT01 Scratch. I'll probably get into this one in another video. All right, so first things first, let's take a look at what's inside the box. So we'll go ahead and start with the Reck-IF30. All right, so here's our fader cover, our screw set, and the fader bracket. Now this fader bracket is really important. This is what's going to be attaching the mini Innofader Plus to the unit. Here's a closer look at the fader cover. As you can see, it's a really clean design. Now inside these bags, we have 3 travel stops, and I will show you what these are used for here in a bit. You also have your included hex key and 2 M3 screws, but I'm going to leave these in the bag for now. All right, so let's take a look at the mini Innofader Plus. Obviously you get some stickers. Here's the actual mini Innofader. We've got some deoxit lubricating gel. Put that to the side. Some stickers and 2 fader caps. Now these are the special adapters that you will need in order to connect your mini Innofader Plus. There's only going to be one in here that we're using, but the good thing about Innofader is it comes with all adapters and they're prepared to connect to any mixer. Now the one that we'll be needing is this piece right here. It looks like it also comes with a bracket of its own. This is probably to connect to mixers. And the last thing in the box is a set of screws. Go ahead and save these as well because you'll be using 2 of them. All right, and last but obviously not least, you're gonna need a PT01 Scratch. Now this is my original and first PT01 that was given to me by Newmark. This one's pretty special to me. It's been all over the world. And I decided to go ahead and put that mini Innofader Plus with the Reck-IF30 on this bad boy. Now I've already taken the previous fader out. You shouldn't need instructions on doing that. If you have the PT01 with the scratch switch, just a couple of screws. If you have any aftermarket fader, you might need to go in from underneath and detach that. One thing to note as well, it's to my understanding that you do not need to remove any type of capacitors when you use this setup. So for those of you who are not too technically inclined, it's all good. If you go with this setup, it's pretty much just plug and play. All right, so the very first thing we're gonna do is test our mini Innofader Plus. Now keep in mind, while you're plugging this thing in, you do not want this unit powered on at all. So make sure as we're plugging in, there's no batteries inside and no power connected to it. All right, so having a quick look at the mini Innofader Plus, you can see underneath it's got a protective tape with some instructions on here. Do not lift this tape up and do not touch anything underneath this. The only thing that we're going to be looking at on this specific installation is this adjustment button right here. There's a little button right there. And this piece right here, that's where we're going to plug in our cable. That's it. So let's go ahead and start by plugging in the adapter that we pulled out earlier. That's it. So let's go ahead and plug this into here. Now this only goes one direction, so don't force it, but that's it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and test this. All right, so real quick, I'm gonna connect power just to make sure that we have a connection. Yep, off on that side, on there. All right, so I went ahead and disconnected the fader so we can properly mount the bracket. All right, so let's grab our fader bracket and our fader. Now, to reference this, you're going to face this towards you with the mini Innofader Plus logo facing up. And then we're going to take our fader bracket. Now these ridges need to be facing up. We'll slide that on, and that is the correct way to screw that down. Here's a closer look. All right, so the screws that we're using are the ones that were supplied in the Innofader bag. You're not going to use the Reck-LA screws. Those are intended for the top plate. And that's how the bracket should look when you have it correctly installed. Okay, so now that we have the bracket mounted, let's plug the fader back in, power it on, and calibrate it. All right, so for this step, I'm going to go ahead and use the included fader cap. I'm also going to need a record, so let's go ahead and turn this on. All right, so to properly calibrate this thing, you need to make sure that you're facing the side that says A+. Now keep in mind we have 3 calibration points on here. We've got A, when our fader is all the way to the left side, B, when our fader is in the center, and C, when our fader is to the right side. And in order to calibrate every time, we're going to need to hold down this adjust button throughout the whole calibration, from start to end. I'm going to go ahead and start this record so we can get some audio going through it. All right, so these things come calibrated with a linear slope, which is a traditional fade. And what we're going to do is we're going to switch this to PTO1 mode, and it's pretty simple. All right, we're going to start by holding down the adjust button, and we're going to travel from position points A down to C and back to B, then release. So as you can see, it now cuts off on the left and right in the center. Now it's in PTO1 mode. All right, so now that we have the fader properly calibrated, we're going to need to remove it one more time. Let's go ahead and take that fader cap off. And we're going to install one of the included travel stops right here on the fader. Now what that's going to do is going to keep our fader stem from sliding all the way down. Now mounting your Innofader inside of your PTO1 scratch is extremely easy. All we're going to need is our IF30 fader cover, the 2 M3 screws that come with the IF30, and our hex tool. Now one thing to make note of, unlike some of the other faders that go inside of the PTO1 scratch, the Innofader can only be mounted in one position. And that's because, well, obviously, the fader is traditionally a little bit longer, and there's not a lot of room inside of our PTO1 scratch, so it's not going to be able to angle or anything like that. But in all honesty, I don't see that being a problem for anybody. I mean, this is the traditional fader movement, so you should be good. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Now, I've already removed the bottom screws, and most of you modders out there, you guys know how to open this thing up. There's some screws on the bottom that release this top plate, and that's how you get inside. I'm going to disconnect these 2 cables here to get more access. All right, let's start by pulling our cable back through to the inside. We're going to go ahead and connect our fader again to this cable. Now, if you're looking at it from this direction, the side past the travel stop is going to be facing and mounting down. Let's pull this down. Now, while holding the fader from underneath, I'm going to go ahead and put the Reck fader cover right over it and match up those screw holes. Then just tighten up the M3 screws to the bracket. Now, don't make it too tight. Let me add the other screw. Okay, now you can make it nice and snug. All right, that lines up perfectly. All right, so let me reconnect those cables. Make sure you're not pinching any cables. Let me go ahead and add the screws to the bottom right quick. One quick tip. When you flip this over, use the lid. That way you don't damage your tone arm or anything up top. All right, let's put our fader cap on and test it out. That's nice. Now with the calibration that we gave it, there is a cut on each side of the fader, but if you feel like you need to change that or you want one side to stay open, there are more calibration settings included with the Innofader, and if you'd like, you can set that to cut on only one side. But to be honest with you, the weight of the fader doesn't seem like it's going to throw across and throw me off when I cut, so I'm good with the cut on both sides, at least on this one. Well, there you have it, guys. There's the quick and easy installation on how to get a mini Innofader Plus in your PTO1 scratch using the Reck-IF30 bracket. And just from the quick cut that I had, I can already tell you this is a game changer. I mean, come on. It's an Innofader inside of a PT01 Scratch. What more do I need to say? Shout out to Reck-IF30 and Innofader for teaming up and sending me both of these products to put in my PT01 Scratch and give you guys a review with. And if you're interested in picking one of these up, they are now available. I will throw some links down below. Share this video with all your homies. Let them know you can now mount a mini Innofader inside of your PT01 Scratch. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, keep scratching. Peace.